Are those Buckeyes? What is that?
Imagine that. Some Buckeyes. Hey, Jeff. How are you?
So I think the word...
You put on a pretty good show, by the way.
Okay.
The whole thing is amazing.
It's okay?
Yeah, it's pretty good.
We've come a long way, baby, haven't we?
Well, I've been to a lot of them, and they're all good, but this is really good.
Come on, let him have it. Do you love the guy? Come on. Can you imagine having Jim Jordan's job and you still smile and, you know, it's amazing.
It's a great country. In spite of the left, it's a great country. And as you and Mercy were just talking about, the people get it. You know, you saw it a few months ago. It started with a few moms. I know we got some of them here. A few moms in Loudoun County. Then it was a few more moms. Pretty soon some dads got involved. And the next thing you know, Glenn Youngkin's governor of a blue state. And then never forget, a few weeks after that, you had 12 jurors in a courtroom in Kenosha with the mob outside who did the right thing, followed the facts, followed the truth, followed due process. And I think it's building. It's, you know, north of our border, it's truckers and standing for freedom, and you can feel it happening in our great country. You can.
I have to admit, since the last election, I had some times when I thought, you know, maybe America will be ended. Maybe it's coming home to a bad conclusion. And I felt pessimistic at times. It's funny, after that Kenosha result, after what happened in Virginia, I mean, think about this. It's tough to be a politician. Can you imagine being a politician in San Francisco and being too radical for the school board?
Yep, exactly.
I mean, that's kind of insane. That's a tough badge to have. How do you feel? Do you feel like we're going to turn this thing around?
I do. Someone said this. I think it's accurate. There's potential this year for a kind of a total realignment of the parties. It seems to me the Democrat Party is now the party of the super mega wealthy who live on the coast and people who don't work, and we're the party of everybody else. And that is a good place to be. And that phenomena really started with President Trump fighting for middle-class, working-class people and putting America first and making America great again and just standing up for the people who actually make the country work. And so I think you're seeing that kind of realignment. We're the party of people who work. They're the party of people who don't, or who are the ones on the coast who have all the so-called elite. I really like the way it's shaping up, and we never want to get overconfident. We got almost 8 months until the election, so we got to campaign hard. But always be confident, never be overconfident. That's where I think we need to be, and I think the country has figured out that the Biden administration can't do anything right. And I don't like to say that because you want to cheer for your country, but that's just unfortunately where we're at. So I'm thinking there's going to be a big change come this midterm election.
I always, as the news media, or at least most of it, the bad part of it, tells us that things have gotten back to normal in Washington and the country's in this, better place because we've all unified. I don't know if you know this, Jim. We're unified now. Has this really work around the clock commander-in-chief? Has he called you recently to ask you about?
No, he hasn't.
But that doesn't happen?
No, I have not talked to President Biden, but I was there a little over a year ago on Inauguration Day, and I heard this speech like the whole country did, where he talked about unifying the country, and frankly, that would be helpful. We are too divisive as a nation in many ways, but he talked about that at his speech, and then literally a few hours later went to the Oval Office and signed 20 executive orders that divided the country. Yeah. So that's been the disconnect, and everything they've done policy-wise has been, as I said before, a complete disaster and further divides the country. I mean, you all know the list, but we went from a secure border to complete chaos. We went from stable prices to record 40-year high inflation. We went from safe streets to increasing crime in every major urban area in our country. We went from being respected around the world, projecting strength from the Oval Office, to what we've seen with the debacle that was the exit from Afghanistan and a host of other things. So, again, there's nothing that's been done that I think's been done in the right way. And maybe the thing that scares me the most is what they've done to the First Amendment, what they've done to the Constitution. I mean, I probably tell this to every group I get a chance to speak to. Every right we enjoy under the First Amendment has been assaulted. You got 5 rights: your right to practice your faith, your right to assemble, right to petition your government, freedom of press, freedom of speech. Everyone's been attacked. And maybe the one most attacked is freedom of speech. And that was a whole conference a year ago. We saw this woke, this cancel culture mindset happening. But if you can't talk, if you can't speak, none of your other rights mean anything. If you can't talk, you can't practice your faith. You can't share your faith. You don't have freedom of the press. You can't petition your government if you're not allowed to speak. And that's what the left goes after. That's why it's so dangerous and why we have to win.
You know, there's a big group of people that are not allowed to speak. They don't get the chance to speak, and that's the unborn child. And we see the Supreme Court has taken up this Dobbs case. You're a strong advocate for the rights of the unborn. Do you think the Supreme Court will turn this question of regulating abortion back to the states and do the constitutional thing? And do you think the country can handle that when that happens?
Yeah, we're Americans. We can handle anything, and that's the right thing to do. Look, the sanctity of life is just that. I mean, it's sacred, and it needs to be protected. We all understand that. I'm hopeful the Supreme Court's going to do the right thing. I think they are. And, we'll
Why do you think they are?
Well, because of Gorsuch and Kavanaugh and Coney Barrett, 3 amazing justices that President Trump put on the court, just like he said he was going to do when he ran for the job and we elected him. So I do think we'll get the right decision there, but we'll see. Now, if and when we get the right decision, just be ready for it. The Democrats are literally then going to go full tilt, I think, on trying to pack the court. And we'll have to deal with that. They've introduced the legislation. They've had this commission. We'll see how that plays out. But I'm hopeful that the United States Supreme Court will uphold and protect life and reach the right decision in that case.
So we have this whole question of packing the court, breaking all these democratic norms that are coming from this new Marxist Democratic Party, embracing the softer term socialism. I don't know if you saw in our merch store, we say socialism is just communism for slow learners. It's kind of all in the same spectrum. You should get the shirt, by the way. It's all in the same spectrum. I think one of the things that the people here that I keep hearing from that they're the most concerned about is they keep giving the Republican Party power, and this is not aimed at you, although you've been there a while and you're going to get some real seniority if we get this majority back and you'll make a difference. But if we give the Republican Party back power, do they finally get the fact that we got to push for all these things we care about?
Yeah, no, we have to. If we win, I mean, the way I see it, if we win, and Lord willing, I think we're going to, if we win, we got to pass key legislation that shows the country what we're for. Like, we need to pass. We should not in any way be funding gain-of-function research. We just shouldn't. That's got to be one of the bills we pass. We have to do something on the fact that 2 million people have illegally entered our country over the past year. So we got to do something on immigration that secures our border. And then we also have to pass something on the attack from big tech, the censorship and attack on conservatives from big tech, namely the Section 230, taking away the liability protection. But remember, Joe Biden will still be president. So those pieces of legislation aren't going to become law, but we should pass them anyway, show the country what we're for, and begin to frame up the 2024 race when I believe President Trump is going to run again. And
do you have any inside knowledge?
No. There's a guy speaking tonight who may have some inside knowledge. Yeah,
you never know.
But I think he is. I want him to, and I think if he runs, he's going to win. And then whoever the Democrats put up. But you help frame up the 2024 race. And then in addition to that, we need to do the investigation. Part of our constitutional duty is oversight. We need to do the investigations, not because we're the legislative branch. We can't prosecute or indict anyone, but for the simple fact the American people, all of you, the whole country, deserves the truth. We need to know for certain, did Dr. Fauci know 2 years ago that this virus came from a lab? Did he know that? I think he did. So we need to know that. We need to know why the Biden administration, it seems to me, has taken the intentional position of not not having a border. There's no other way to interpret this. It's deliberate. It's intentional. They're just letting folks come in.
And kids are dying.
Yeah, and bad things are happening to young people and to women, and it's just wrong. And we need to know, particularly if on the Judiciary Committee, the oversight we're going to have to do, why the Department of Justice had sent out this email to FBI agents saying, put this designation, this threat tag label on parents. I would love to ask Merrick Garland a simple question. What's the number? How many parents currently have that designation associated with their name? So those are the kind of investigations we're going to have to do if the American people put us in charge.
So everything they say is a conspiracy theory eventually turns out to be true. He was spied on.
Sure was.
How long, you think?
Well, certainly since, remember all the things that happened in 2016, that they first take the dossier, which they know is false, they take it to the court. When they go to the court, they lie about information. Mr. Kleinsmith, was indicted for it. Then they have this individual that, under the alias Azra Turk. When you have someone go bump into George Papadopoulos in Europe using an alias, that's called spying, right? Yep. So we know all that happened, and now we find out from the latest Durham filing that it goes right to the Clinton campaign. And looks like it happened while he was candidate, looks like it happened while he was president-elect, and looks like it happened while President Trump was actually president of the United States, and that's not supposed to happen this way.
I know you're a polite man. That's what I heard. I think the biggest concern is two systems of justice.
Yep.
If you participate in the violence and the riots of Black Lives Matter, leading politicians not only won't condemn you, they'll spring you out of the joint and you're back on the street the next day. If you do these terrible things in terms of using your power and government power to spy on your political opponents, it seems to either get whitewashed or just take forever for anybody to be held accountable. And then when someone is held accountable, it's almost like that's taken care of and expunged. They get back their pension and everything else. Can this finally stop and there's one system of justice no matter who you vote for president?
Let's hope so. It's supposed to work that way in this great country. I think if President Trump runs and wins, which, again, I think he's going to, if he does that, you put the right person in charge at the Justice Department, and you do hold people accountable, and you do the investigations you're supposed to do. That's the only way it works. Now, we don't know. We know John Durham, by all appearances, is being thorough, being deliberate, and going after the truth and the facts. So we'll see where all this shakes out. The scariest thing I took away from what he filed 2 weeks ago was some of the language he used. He said it was designed to create an inference and a narrative about President Trump and this false accusation that he was somehow colluding with Russia, which we know wasn't true. But think of that terminology, inference and create a narrative. That's what we used to call framing somebody.
Yeah.
Trying to frame
That's right.
presidential candidate, a president-elect, and potentially even the president of the United States. That is really scary stuff for our country and just underscores this assault on liberty we have seen and the weaponization of government we have seen the left use to go after their political opponents. It's as wrong as it can be, and people who do it should, in fact, be
And
held
now
accountable.
it's not just the Department of Justice, which has become a cesspool that at least half the country now doesn't trust what it does in many cases. We don't trust what many of these intelligence agencies tell us because of these lies. And now Congress, under Nancy Pelosi, is in on the game with this 1-6 commission, which you're supposed to be serving on. But for the first time in our history, the majority told the minority in the name of Jim Jordan, you can't pick your own members to be on this false committee.
So think about it. Democrats had closed the Capitol, allowed proxy voting, kicked Republicans off committee, won't let Republicans serve on a select committee. First time in American history that's happened. Are getting ready to try to end the Electoral College, end the filibuster, pack the court, and we've caught them actually taking evidence, altering evidence to January 6th committee and lying to the American people about it. And yet they turn around and say, oh, it's Donald Trump and Republicans who are a threat to democracy. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. So, they're also trying to keep our colleague off the ballot in North Carolina. I mean, think about it.
Yeah.
We're a threat to democracy, but you're trying to prevent someone from running for office who's already a member of Congress and letting the people of North Carolina select who they want. That's scary, but this is today's Democrat Party, completely controlled by the left. And it's, again, it just underscores why we have to win, why it's so important. We all work hard, go out and campaign not overconfidently, but confidently, and win this midterm election.
All right, Jim Jordan, we love you for everything we do. Keep up the great work.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, brother.